Welcome to the Travel Like a Boss podcast, where we interview location-independent entrepreneurs that travel the world like a boss by being their own boss. Here's your host, Johnny FD.
Hey guys, it's Johnny and welcome to episode 237 of the Travel Like a Boss podcast. I am in Los Cabos, Mexico with BK Brandon Kesler. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you, brother. It's good to be here. Good to be kicking it with you for a couple days. Enjoying the sunshine, enjoying the company.
Yeah, so we're actually overlooking I guess the Pacific Ocean. It's really beautiful here. BK lives in this dope apartment complex that basically just walks out to the pool. So this morning I woke up, beautiful sunrise, and I walked straight out. I actually wanted to walk out naked, even though I know this is like a shared condo pool, but I really wanted just to walk out naked and swim because it was just right there.
Yeah, that's actually frowned upon a little bit in the community. I've got 2 warnings, so that would have been my 3rd strike and I would have been out of here. So I appreciate you not doing that, but yeah.
So you have 2 warnings for walking out naked and swimming naked?
Yeah, I mean, those were long nights. I'm here in Cabos, I'm currently single. Come on, bro. It happens.
No, I'm sure it's for something else. But the reason why I wanted to have you on the show is, man, we've had a cool history. Like we met, I don't even know how long ago. Probably, do you know what year it was?
Roughly 10 years ago, I would say. 2010. Probably about 2010.
Yeah. So almost 10 years ago, both of us were basically living and training and fighting in Thailand at the time. And both of us have somehow become online entrepreneurs. You have a really successful Amazon FBA business as well as basically a supplement company. And you still train, and teach on the side in fighting. I've kind of moved on from that, but can we go in the backstory on kind of how this all started, like your background, how you got into fighting into Thailand, and then maybe later on in the show we'll talk about the business part.
Yeah, so basically when I got started, or when I decided to make the move to Thailand, I was about 30 years old and I had been competing a lot in mixed martial arts, but I was never like taking it 100%, and I really wanted to, sell all my crap, move to Thailand and really just make that move and give fighting 100%. So that's what I did. I sold all my stuff, jumped on a plane, moved to 13 Coins Gym, Bangkok, Thailand, and I started training twice a day, 100%. Yeah, it was a fun adventure.
So out of all the literally hundreds of gyms in Thailand, how did you settle at 13 Coins?
Basically just ran at random. I was doing research online and I just ran across a podcast. I think it was called Fight Passport or something to that nature. And the guy was doing reviews on lots of different gyms, but yet he was staying and living at that gym. And I just thought, well, why is this guy staying at that gym and he's doing reviews on all these other ones, but he is staying there and he has the option to stay at a million other gyms, but he's staying there. So I just was trying to kind of like reading between the lines and picked that gym. And actually, it worked out really well for me. I went there, I trained for a couple months and became kind of friends with the owner. I was getting ready to leave and go to a new gym. And then the owner offered me a good job. He offered me a job as the MMA coach there, getting paid room and board, plus a small salary. And at that time in my life, I really didn't have much going on. So free room and board was a pretty good deal for me. And that was really all I needed. Took that. And that was that.
Yeah, that's cool. That's actually a really good point that you made about reading between the lines and also just reading like blogs or listening to podcasts about where to go and what to do. Because even though there's plenty of good places in the world, if someone's actually seen all the options, you can probably decide like the place that they're at is probably the best, versus someone who's only been to like one place and they're like, oh, this place is great. And this is why it's hard to trust reviews on like TripAdvisor or just random things. Like, what do you have to compare it against? Like somebody might say, whatever is the best, is a great all-inclusive resort in Cancun. And you're like, well, how many other ones have you been to? They're like, oh, this is the only one I went to and it was good. And maybe it is good, but is it really the best if you haven't compared it to other places?
Yeah, 100%. You definitely, with online stuff, have to kind of read between the lines and really do your due diligence and, research. Don't take the first blog post you see on something or the first review or anything of that nature.
Yeah, so that's why I like having, kind of really in-depth, long-term blog reviews, and I never review something the first week I'm somewhere. I always wait at least a month, ideally, be like 2 or 3 months before I write a blog post or a travel guide to a city, because that's when you really get to know the place, and with Muay Thai, I had a Muay Thai blog, My Fight Camp, that I basically just, went around and reviewed all these different gyms as well. And that's actually how we met.
Yeah, 100%. I remember that. A good friend of ours, Will Chope, who actually became a big UFC fighter and all that. So funny, actually, when I first met him, I think he had a losing record of, I want to say at that time, he was 1 win, 4 losses. And now if you look at his record, I want to say he's like 50-15 or something. I don't know exactly what his record is, but it's insane. He's one of the most active fighters in Thailand. And at any rate, so we were both mutual friends with him. I was training with Will at the gym, and he was asking me if one of his buddies could come and stay. And I was in good with Mr. Coke, and that's the owner of 13 Coins. And I went and asked him if one of my buddies could stay at the gym. But the accommodations were a little bit different than the accommodations that I was staying in.
Yeah, so this was 2010, so I was pretty broke, and I was just traveling around, and I wasn't really I don't know if I was making any money from the blog. I just liked doing it. I just really enjoyed doing it. And I was used to staying in fighter accommodations, which were always pretty basic, right? Sometimes they're dorms, shared rooms. This place, though, was a whole nother level. It was basically the attic above the gym. And I want you guys to imagine that. So a outdoor Thai gym, sweaty, and the attic of it was like you climbed up this rickety ladder.
It wasn't a ladder. It was, excuse me. It was a ladder, but it was like a broken down ladder that had like steps missing.
Yeah. And it was like, it was bad. I can't even explain how bad this was. I'm pretty sure there were like, birds or bats like living up there when I wasn't up there.
There was giant rats. I mean, I'm talking rats bigger than a small dog that would walk across the beams at the top of the gym.
But I was close to training. It was free, and I got to do what I love to do. I wouldn't do that again now, but I'm glad I went through that. And I think this is something kind of to learn from, the experiences. Like, especially if you're in your 20s or like, you're young and you don't, or if you're just new to traveling. Don't stay at like luxury hotels and don't spend all your money on just accommodation. Go out and just, even if you're paying for it, like go and just stay somewhere where you're closest to the action. You're closest to your passion, whether that's Muay Thai, MMA, scuba diving, whatever it might be. Just like suck it up for a bit, because you'll never do it, when you're 40 or you're 50. Do it now.
Yeah, like I was telling you yesterday, if I don't live very close to my gym, I end up going about, 30 to 50% less than if I live right next to the gym. When I live next to the gym, I'll go every day, no matter what. But when I live, 30 minutes, an hour away, it's so much easier just to say, I don't know, I don't feel good today, or, come up with excuses for yourself.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think as a digital nomad or as an entrepreneur, that's a huge benefit that we have that other people don't, where we can just move pretty easily, especially if you don't have that much stuff. And that's another big reason why I like kind of being a minimalist and having very little things, and renting, the accommodation, renting the furniture, just not having anything. I'm a big believer in being walking distance to the place that you want to spend the most amount of time. For me, I've moved literally behind a CrossFit gym when I was in Thailand, and that was my goal of what I wanted to do every day. I've always lived at the Muay Thai gym, either in the gym or right across the street from it. When I started working online, I literally moved across the street from the co-working space. And that way I would have no excuse not to go every day and not to go, back at night, maybe after dinner or something, just to work a bit more. So I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's also one of the benefits of being a digital nomad. One of the benefits, and also I guess one of the curses, the fact that you can work constantly. You can work no matter where you're at, as long as you got your laptop. I find myself working too much sometimes, and I need to kind of separate from that. But you can really leverage that. So, and think about all the time you save on traveling or driving. I mean, one of my best friends drives 2 hours to work and then 2 hours from work. And when you times that over a year, look how much of his life he's lost. Whereas when I start my day, I wake up, have some water and coffee, and sit down in my underwear and get to work.
Yeah, and this is a beautiful spot as well. I mean, like, as we're recording this, we are overlooking the ocean. He has, this huge, like, windows that just basically open all the way. So you just let in the outside breeze. The pool's right there. I can see, why it's comfortable for you to work here. And, for me, I personally don't work well from home. I need to go out. So whether it's a coffee shop or co-working space, but there's plenty of people. I think, my buddy Chris, he works really well from home. You work really well from home. If anything, you work probably too well from home. So it really kind of depends on your lifestyle. But kind of speaking of that, like, what do you think of Cabo San Lucas? Like this is definitely a really beautiful place that you live in. But like, what are the kind of pros and cons of being here versus, do you miss Thailand? Do you miss the US?
Well, Thailand's amazing. We'll go back to that. But I mean, as far as Cabo goes, a lot of the reasons I love Cabo is, for one, the climate is amazing. It's basically just like California weather. It's dry. It's nice all year long. And then also it's close to home. So I can have family come visit. I can go visit my family, things like that. When I was living in Thailand, I never had family come visit. And it's just a little bit nice being home. Now, Thailand is also amazing. It's still probably my favorite country in the world, but you're so far away. And also I spent about 4 years there off and on. It was just time for a new scenery for me. And Mexico really fits the bill. It's something new. It's a new language to learn. It's a new adventure. Everything is new. Like Thailand, I felt like I kind of had maxed it out. I just have done everything.
Yeah, and I know it almost sounds a bit silly to say because there is so much to do in Thailand, but I feel the same way. I've been there off and on for the last almost 10 years, and I've pretty much been everywhere that I wanted to go, like 4 times. I've been to Koh Lanta 4 times, been to Koh Tao 4 times. I've been to all the, great places. And if I had to live there forever and never travel anywhere else, I'd be happy. But having the option to be able to kind of be like starry-eyed again, experience new culture almost for the first time, and then enjoy kind of this parts of it, it's almost silly not to, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that new is kind of an addiction, when you're traveling and you get that new feeling, that new country. It's all those new butterflies again. It is a bit, I don't know, for me, it's a little bit of an addiction. How many countries have you been to now? You've been to a massive amount of places.
Yeah, so what's funny is I try not to go to too many new countries because I really want to, like, I think a lot of people, especially when they first start traveling, they have a bucket list goal of going to, 40 countries, 50 countries, 100 countries, just to say they've been there. I'm almost, and to be honest, I like kind of fell for that trap like a few times where I'm like, okay, yeah, I should go to Gibraltar just so, just to say I've been there, or I need to go to wherever, some random place for a day or for an hour just to say I've been there. But now I really try to go places for, 2-3 months at a time and really get to know the place, or at least, go for a few weeks or a month just to like really get to know it and not just check it off my bucket list. And also I try to go back to places I really like year after year to get to know it better or see other parts of it, instead of just going once and be like, okay, saw the highlights, never need to go there again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I try to do the same thing. I try to live in a spot for, whether it's 3 months to a year or, sometimes even longer. Then you can really start to understand the culture, dig in with the locals. You're not just in the touristy places like that. Typically when I'm traveling, I don't do anything touristy unless my friends come, and then actually it's good for me because sometimes that is pretty fun. But by myself, I don't like that. I really like to just dig into the what feels authentic. Like the gym I'm going to now, it's this little Muay Thai gym and jiu-jitsu. I mean, and it is super authentic. You go up 2 flights of stairs that are completely abandoned basically, and then you get up and you find the gym, and it's a pretty rough gym. I mean, I'm the only gringo there. I'm the only, everybody speaking Spanish, and it's cool. It's a fun experience. I enjoy that kind of a thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think having that kind of connection to like local culture is so much more rewarding than just going on like day trips or staying at an all-inclusive or, doing kind of like the normal touristy, like hot spots, like, oh, I have to see the Eiffel Tower. Now I have to go see this museum. I have to go see this. For me, I like a mix of both. I like basing myself out of places that have both, where I can get plugged in with the locals, but then on the weekends go do like a walking tour, just kind of see the history, just see the sights, because it is beautiful and there's really cool things to do. But so far, I think one of the reasons why I do like Los Cabos, and for those who don't know, Los Cabos is basically Cabo San Lucas and the kind of a smaller town, San Jose del Cabo. And they just call them the Cabos, which means the caves. And it's in Baja California, which is the west coast of kind of the northwest of Mexico. And compared to where I was last week in Cancun, it's so far. It's literally the other side of the country. And it turns out it's a huge country.
Yeah, I mean, Mexico is very big. I actually, when I first came here to Cabos, I drove from Washington State and did a 45-day road trip through all of Mexico, not straight through, just zigzagged all the way, all the way to Playa del Carmen, where I did live for about a year there. And that was a really fun adventure. The funny thing is when you live in Cabos or Cancun or Playa del Carmen, everybody can speak English, or most of the locals speak English. Everywhere else in Mexico, no. We didn't speak one word of English for the whole 45-day trip until we ended up in Playa. So it was a fun adventure. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I had a great time.
What did you think of Playa, by the way? You lived there for 4 months. Like, how do you compare life there to here in Los Cabos?
No, I lived in Playa for about a year, and I've lived here in Cabos for about 4 months. But Playa is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. The city, Fifth Avenue, is very cool. There's lots to do. There's amazing restaurants. There's nice nightlife. There's pretty much everything you want to do there. I had a great community there. Gracie Barra, Playa del Carmen, really cool gym, great coaches. I kind of miss that part of it, but I'm seeing a lot of opportunities here and possibly thinking about some business opportunities here. So I'm kind of doing my own due diligence now, and then we'll see what happens in the future. But both are amazing. I can't say the humidity is worse there. The weather's better here. But then again, I like the scenery there, the tropical views, the trees. I mean, it's just gorgeous.
So why'd you move here then?
Well, I was back in Thailand and ended up having a breakup with my girlfriend and needed a new scenery. So yeah, we can we'll move on to something else.
So I guess you were living in Playa when that happened, and then you're like, all right, I need to go to a place that I've never been. So you're like Los Cabos.
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted a fresh start. I didn't want to go back to, those old memories. We maybe edit this part out.
No. I think this is a big part of, why we do things. And like, I think when we travel, they say that we either are running towards something or away from something. And it could be running towards like more freedom, better weather, like a new start, new opportunities, or it could be running away from the cold in the winter, or like high cost of living, like just crazy taxes, stress, whatever it is. For me, when I first left Thailand, when I first left the US to move to Thailand, I was definitely running from stuff, I was running from a life that I thought would make me happy living in the US, spending way too much money, buying way too much stuff, just being unhappy, like thinking I had to, buy new clothes, go to the bar and try to learn, how to pick up girls just to, be happy and be normal. And it wasn't until I moved to Thailand I realized, what, none of that really matters, man. Like I can just go there and I can just do what I love doing, whether it's scuba diving or Muay Thai, and I can wear flip-flops, I can wear board shorts. Nobody cares.
Yeah, exactly. The stress level, the stress difference from living in Thailand or living in Mexico or something like this is so much less. You don't have that keeping up with the Joneses sort of aspect. And when I go home, I immediately get that again. I think, oh man, my friend's got this, he's got this huge house. He's got this awesome new Hummer. He's got this Tesla, and it's hard and it's stressful, whereas when I'm in Thailand, people don't really care too much about things like that. You can just hop on your scooter, go to training, it's it is that minimalist lifestyle. And that's kind of why I'm kind of a minimalist, why I've learned that. It's so much less stress and I'm happier. One of the happiest times in my life was when I had $100 condo living next to Team Quest Thailand, and was when I was building my company, and I had no stress because I didn't need anything to live. I mean, I could live off of $500 a month. I could go fight once in China and then live off that for 2 or 3 months, and then, just live a very peaceful, easy life.
Yeah, that's crazy. I remember I also, mine was never, actually, was it 100? I think the cheapest accommodation I ever had was $60 a month in a bamboo hut next to Phuket Top Team. But
that was where Will lived as well. I think that's where Will lived, right?
Yeah, we were neighbors. That's how we met. And I remember he was so broke that every day he would only have, I think, like 2 meals a day. And it was always the same meal. It was Khao pad saparot, which is fried rice with pineapple. And sometimes he would get an egg on it if he needed like the extra protein. And this is like an active guy training twice a day, fighting professionally. And he's like, how tall is he?
So Will fought at 145 pounds and he's 6'4". I mean, he towers over me, and I fought at middleweight. So just a giant. And I mean, that kid is a savage now, still one of the most active fighters probably in the world. I mean, I think he's got over 100 fights. It's just been amazing actually to watch his journey.
Yeah, and he kind of had a very unlucky break in the UFC. His first opponent was Max Holloway, who is the current champ, and just like it's a hard life, but he's kept, it's been scrappy. He's fighting a lot in Asia. He's enjoying life out there, and it's kind of cool to like think back and reminisce. And I think one of the reasons why it's been so fun hanging out with you here is just catching up after all these years of how much our lives have changed, but also to kind of know like what is everyone else up to? Because I mean, when we met, we were both fighters, and we were, living off of, like just really low, like fight purses, like, like, yeah, I remember I made like 5,000 baht a fight, and I was trying to live off of that for a month for just $150. It's like, it's impossible.
Yeah. I remember when I very first started my like online businesses, I just remember thinking, okay, if I could make $500-600 a month, how happy I would be. And I actually remember when I first started making that, and I was literally like doing jumping jacks in the kitchen. It was crazy. I mean, it was just crazy to see how far, you know what I mean, we've came. It's I want to say rags to riches, but in a way, it was definitely rags to riches. And so let's, before we get into the current entrepreneur stuff, because I want to get into that, like what were, like, do you remember like your first fight, your first purse, like how, like kind of walk me through that journey? Well, are you talking about my first fight ever, or my first fight in Thailand, or what are you talking about? Because I've been doing this since I was 18 years old.
Yeah, both. I mean, I would just kind of love, I mean, I think that it's very seldom do we hear like kind of like what it's actually like trying to make a living as a professional fighter.
Well, when I very first started this, I mean, I had my first fight as an amateur at the Tacoma Dome. And this is a very big arena. The Tacoma Dome it's big. It was too big for my first fight. And the amount of pressure and the amount of adrenaline, and I mean, it was absolutely crazy. I went out there, the very first punch, the guy hits me with a straight right and just busts my nose open, cuts my eye, and I just start bleeding with blood gushing out as if you opened as if you opened the faucet. I mean, it was one of the most bloodiest fights anybody had ever seen. In fact, my coach, Dennis Hallman, who's seen thousands of fights, still to this day says it's one of the bloodiest fights he's ever seen. So that was crazy. The amount of adrenaline, it was insane. But, later on, after I started, getting those amateur fights out of the way and then moved to professional and things like that, it became better. It just became more natural. The more you do something, the easier it gets, and it becomes, you don't have so much stress and things like that. And then you can relax in the ring and really perform to your highest ability. But the cool thing about Thailand was I actually fought in the very first ever MMA show in Thailand. So when they first introduced MMA to Thailand, it was frowned upon by the Muay Thai community. So they didn't like the MMA coming in there. They thought it would maybe steal their business or, yeah, they just didn't like it.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, the history of Muay Thai, it's Thai kickboxing where, it's all stand up. But you basically have everything. You have punching, you have kicking, you have kneeing, you have elbowing, you can clinch, you can throw. So it's really a all-encompassing sport, and it's a really fun sport. Everyone who goes to Thailand watches a Muay Thai fight. They make a lot of money from it. Local Thais go to bet money. Tourists go to watch the show. So it's a huge moneymaker. So when MMA started coming in, the Thai people who had these businesses were like, no, we don't want this coming in to compete, because first, it's not our sport. It's not our national sport. And it's going to be a lot of Westerners, fighting and making money from it. So no, let's keep them out of here.
Yeah, it was a big thing. The first one was Dare Fighting Championships, or maybe just called Dare. And they ended up having to go and, pay the right people the right amount of money, as you do in Thailand quite often. They ended up getting it done. And now that promotion ended up kind of fizzling out. And now there's Full Metal Dojo that kind of took its place, or basically took its place. And now MMA in Thailand and in Southeast Asia is just thriving. There is promotions everywhere. There's gyms everywhere, jiu-jitsu gyms everywhere. It's becoming big business.
Yeah, and it's fun. Like, I wouldn't do it again. I haven't had a pro fight since, I don't know, 5 years. And I train sometimes for fun, but I don't want to go through it again. I remember sometimes I would have like these delusions of grandeur, thinking like, oh, you know what? Maybe I'm going to get back in shape. I'm going to fight again. It's going to be cool. And then I remember Facebook showed a memory of my photos from my last fight. And the video, I was like, yeah, I could do this again. But the photos where they like kind of zoomed in and I saw how beat up my face was. I think I had a broken nose. My eye was swollen. I had got elbowed in the jaw like 4 times. And I saw the pain in my face, and I saw how messed up my face was. And I was like, I'm never doing this again.
Well, you're preaching to the choir on injuries and damage and things like that. I mean, I've taken a lot of damage myself, but I still have the itch. I still want to get back in there for one last run. I'm calling out the 185-pound champion of Extreme Fighting Mexico, or the Filipino champion. Whoever wants it can come and get it. And I still think at 39 years old, I will beat these kids down. So we'll see if we can make that happen. But yeah.
I think what's cool is you don't have to fight for a living anymore. I think you just like doing it. You make enough money now where you never have to fight again. But what is it about fighting that gives you this drive?
It's just competition. That's it. I mean, I just like to compete in everything. For me, it's just, if me and you were playing Nintendo, I'd be super competitive and play until I beat you. And you could beat me 10 times and I'll keep playing until I win. But, that's pretty much it. It is nice. It goes both ways. It's nice to not have to fight, but it's also hard to get up to training. I mean, there's like a saying, it's pretty hard to go to training when you're sleeping in silk sheets, so it goes both ways.
Yeah, it was definitely easier for me. Like when I needed the $150, I was like, yeah, I'll do that. How many of these can I squeeze in a month? If I can do this, 3 times a month, I could pay for my whole living. Or if I just do it once a month, I get free accommodation and free training in the gym. So I have to fight, once a month, And now I'm like, nah, I'd rather just pay for it. I'd rather just sleep in like a nice, comfortable place. I'd rather just open my laptop at a co-working space and make money that way.
Yeah, I agree. It's nice not to have to do it, but when you see these other guys that are still doing it and still competing, that are like my age or older, that's where I go, man, maybe I still got a bit left in me. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, but do you think did you learn anything from fighting or training for fights, either mindset wise or just in general, that has helped you now with your business?
Yeah, I mean, I think, competing in wrestling, jiu-jitsu, MMA it's given me everything in life. I mean, just learning the drive and the dedication, and no matter how you're feeling, okay, get up, go put in the work, and you're going to see the results. And then also losing so many times. So like when you compete in jiu-jitsu or go to training, you're just going to lose. You're going to get tapped out 1,000 times. You're going to get your face punched in 1,000 times, and learning to get up from that, and learning that, your ego, you don't keep an ego. And as soon as you can get rid of that, that's going to help you in business. It's going to help you in life. That's going to help you with your relationships. Yeah, that's great. Anybody out there, any kids or any younger people that are, want to help themselves, I suggest going to a jiu-jitsu class or an MMA class just to better your life. I mean, for me personally, it's given me everything.
Yeah, I agree. For me as well. And I like how that you mentioned, jiu-jitsu. And when we say jiu-jitsu, we're talking about Brazilian jiu-jitsu, not Japanese jiu-jitsu. And we're talking about, Muay Thai or, maybe boxing or MMA. I feel so bad for people who spend their lives doing,
fake martial arts.
Fake martial arts.
Call it what it is. Call it what it is. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of bullshit martial arts out there that they're basically little cults that brainwash people, man. A lot of your kung fu's and your just foo-foos and these things. And now we're seeing these be exposed. I don't know if you've seen the Chinese guy that was going on. He's a MMA guy that just was challenging these fake martial arts, and he was just beating the crap out of everybody. They're showing that these guys are trying to, use their invisible powers and their chi or whatever the heck it is.
Yeah. And I thought that would have all ended when UFC came out, 20 years ago, because they did challenge. They said, okay, let's fight. You can bring in your ninjutsu, your kung fu, your karate, your, whatever it is, and we'll challenge in a basically no holds bar, cage fight. Everything goes. If you want to try to eye poke with your Krav Maga, go ahead. And none of it worked. I'm not saying that 0% of it works, but let's say 1% of it works. So if you happen to be in really good shape, really, really athletic, and you're doing kung fu, karate, even taekwondo, all these sports, some of the stuff works. The spinning back kick in a taekwondo is really powerful. But overall, as a entire martial art, it just doesn't really work. And 99% of the time, it's not going to work. 99% of the people who train it would be way better off training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, Muay Thai, or boxing, or something that is proven day to day in real sparring, and not sparring but you can't punch in the face. We're not sparring theoretical sparring with Krav Maga, or in this case, if you did this, I would do this, then you would do this, then I would do this. With jiu-jitsu or boxing or Muay Thai, you're actually you're not telling the other person what to do. You're just going at them and they're going after you.
Yeah, I couldn't say it better myself. That's 100% right. You have to prove it. And take, for example, wrestling. What do they do at the end of practice? They go and they wrestle. And jiu-jitsu, they go and they play jiu-jitsu and they spar and go for the submission. But these point fighting things, or like you say, these scenario based fake martial arts, they don't work. You can't say, hey, I could give a heart surgery like this if I did this, that, and that. No, you got to be able to do it, show it, and prove it. And that's what was cool about, the UFC. We really did see that. We got to see what is the best. And what was the best in 1993 isn't the best now. The sport has evolved and it's constantly evolving. You need to know everything. And yeah, just, if you decide that you want to put your kids in a school or something like that, do your due diligence and put them in a proper school, something that's really going to teach them, not just martial arts, but going to teach them something real. Because when you learn this fake stuff, that leads on to other things and other parts of your life, But in jiu-jitsu and wrestling and MMA, you can't fake it. On the mat, there's no faking. You're either good or you're not.
Really well put. And that's actually the point I wanted to get to, is when I first competed in Muay Thai, that was the first time in my life I couldn't talk my way out of something. I couldn't have an excuse both in the ring or afterwards, and also I couldn't BS my way. I couldn't I don't know. I feel like with everything else, right? In school, there's ways to kind of pass a test without really knowing it. There, at work, there's ways where you can you can get a promotion, or you can not get fired. You could just work without really being that hard of a worker, or even being a great expert in your field. In the ring, even when sparring, but especially in competition when you're fighting, there is no talking. There is no BSing. You either know what you're doing, you either trained and you're ready, or you're not.
Yeah, you find out real quick whether or not you're doing something right or wrong, and getting punched in the face will let you know. Yeah.
And it's literally instant punishment. I remember, I had a big ego when I first had my first Muay Thai match. I was like, oh, I could do this. I've seen this on TV. I can do better than this other guy, and when I went in, I realized, especially after you get punched in the face, it's a reality check. It's the biggest reality check in the world. And I realized, crap, I haven't trained hard enough for this. My skill isn't high enough. My cardio isn't high enough. I'm not, in good enough shape. I don't have the experience. I've been lying to myself that I can defend myself, that I can beat up another guy, that I can, and it's not about beating up another guy. It's about just being, being able to protect yourself and your loved ones. And at the time, I think 100% of the guys in the world think that they can protect their loved ones, their family, their girlfriend, their wife, their kids, if someone came to attack them or something bad happened, or even, like they're just in a bad situation. 99.9% of people out there, especially the ones that don't train, like they can't even protect themselves.
Yeah, that's 100% true. I mean, if you haven't done it, then you don't know if you can. So get up there and try and do it, find a gym and just try it. I mean, most of these gyms out there, they'll give you a free class or whatever. And it is really one of the best things for you. I mean, I guess this podcast isn't about, getting people to go out and go to a gym, but I really do think it's great for everyone. I know for myself, like when I don't do it, like if I miss a week of practice or something like that, cause I was injured, I just feel like crap. I mean, it's a huge part of my life that I need. And it helps me with everything else in my life as well. Like when I'm training, it helps with the stress of work, the stress of a relationship, the stress of everything. I'm completely, I'm just so much a better person when I'm doing it.
I definitely agree. And also it makes you a more calm person. Like ever since I actually had a pro fight, I've never once tried to start a fight at a bar or in real life. And what's nice is I've never had to fight after that. Like I've gotten to random bar fights and, street fights when I was younger, but mainly because the other person's, starting it, they could tell I was scared. Even though I would, it doesn't matter what I said, they can tell when you're scared, or if you're confident, you're like, hey, I don't want to fight you. I don't need to fight you. I don't need to prove anything. But if you mess with me, if you mess with the people I love, I'm going to mess you up and I'm not going to back down. And that's that look you can give them of just calm confidence. That'll save your life without you ever needing to throw a punch.
Yeah, and it just goes with the ego thing too. After you train for a really long time, you don't have to prove anything to anyone because you do it on the mat or you do it in the gym. And yeah, that goes a long ways. I know when I was younger, I was always trying to prove something. If I was in the bar, I got in plenty of street fights, more than plenty. But after I started actually training, I never had the feelings to do that again, just because I had done it so much in the gym, which is the place you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, and I think, as humans, we need to let out some aggression sometimes. And I think it's a great place to do it in a controlled environment where you can be friends after, and you can go all out. You can go 100% in jiu-jitsu or even Muay Thai or boxing. You can basically just just get it all out of your system in a relatively safe, controlled manner, and then never have to do it on the street or in real life, but know that you can do it. And I think that's such an important, part of just growing up, like especially as a man, where nowadays when we're 16, we're not going out into the forest to hunt and come back with a boar, or there's no gateway to manhood anymore. It's like, you turn 18, they're like, okay, you're a man. Are you really a man?
Yeah, I mean, it's think about how long fighting has been around for. I mean, it's been around since the beginning of time, basically. It's always about who wants to be the alpha and things like that. And it is just it's amazing for you.
One of my favorite things, though, is the respect that you get from other people who have done it. Like, I think everyone who's ever fought professionally, or at least, they train, like, maybe not like a gym warrior, but at least someone who spars or does jiu-jitsu, for a while, you get a respect from other people who are also in the know, because I think part of it is they know what you've been through. They also know you probably don't have an ego, because the nice thing about, especially like Brazilian jiu-jitsu, is no matter how good you are, how strong you are, how experienced you are, there's someone pretty much at every gym who can destroy you and throw you around.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even the new gym that I just started training at now, God, there's all these tough young guys, and man, it's still it puts your ego in check, and it's like, damn, it gives you motivation to get back out there and really start to train harder, and to, even though you're getting older, you can still train harder and improve and things like that.
But also as a tough young guy, you're going to come across an experienced black belt who might be half your size, and he's going to destroy you and put you in your place as well.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I've seen little guys that were just amazing. And that's one of the cool things about jiu-jitsu too, is size matters, but when a guy's just super legit, it is, it's pretty amazing to watch or to feel.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it is also camaraderie. It's like, where if I'm hanging out with someone who I know can take care of themselves, I also know, I just feel safer with them, right? Where I don't have to take care of them, and also I know that if something ever happened, that they can have my back as well. And I think that's a very tribal thing in our DNA, that even though we live in a civilized society today and we don't necessarily need it, it's a unspoken part of being a human, being an animal, being, especially being a man, that is kind of lost in 2020, 2019, because this, world has gotten really soft. And it's good that we don't need to fight, and we don't need to protect ourselves physically from violence because we live in a civilized society. But at the end of the day, man, like when, electricity turns off, or something happens, or you're kind of, a situation happens, I would rather be close and be friends with people who can at least take care of themselves, but also hopefully take care of me and my loved ones, if the situation arose.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely on a physical level too. But like I was saying before, for myself, it's not just the physical aspect and that I could defend myself if something happens. It's about just the emotional, like how I feel, how it makes everything else feel. Like I could be having the absolute worst day at work. I could have lost a bunch of money. My girlfriend could have broke up with me, whatever it is. Then you go and you get on the mat and all those problems go away for at least, a while. And, it makes everything else that much better.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But I think the funny thing is, a lot of people, because they know I did Muay Thai or I trained jiu-jitsu, they'll come up to me and say like, oh yeah, I also do martial arts. And as soon as they say martial arts, I kind of know that they're going to say like, oh, I do Bushido, or I do like ninjutsu, and it's always something I've never actually heard of, that I'm like, that's kind of a derivative of some other fake martial art, but because there's a new name or some new thing, and like they want that camaraderie. They're like, yeah, I'm just like you, bro. And I'm like, and I always want to tell them like I part of me wants to tell them like, hey, you're wasting your time, you're wasting everyone, you're wasting your money, you're not doing a real martial art. But I don't think they want to hear it.
Yeah, and it's sad though, because a lot of them don't actually know. You know what I mean? A lot of them are brainwashed in a way, or, they grew up watching these kung fu movies and they really think that's true. It's amazing to me how many people that I find that still believe this, There's a lot of people that didn't watch the UFC or don't watch UFC and didn't see the evolution of the sport. So it's not like their fault. I don't think they're going out there and a lot of these people think that. I think they're just uneducated.
I think half of them are uneducated and they just kind of fell for the wrong thing. But I also think that at least half or more than half are looking for some magical shortcut where they don't have to work hard. They don't have to get sweat. They don't have to get dirty. They don't have to get on the floor with another guy. They don't have to get punched in the face. That they can still have all the magical benefits of martial arts without doing any of the work.
Yeah, a lot of people are looking for that easy way out, right? That magic pill, things like that. I mean, for example, with my supplements, I have weight loss supplements and I have pre-workouts and things like that. And these pills, they work and they're going to help you. They're going to help you 5 or 10%, but you have to work out. You have to exercise. You have to eat right. You can't go eat at McDonald's every day and think that you're going to take a pill and lose weight. This idea that there's an easy way out or a get rich quick. I mean, nothing in life is easy. Whether it's, in business, you got to put in that work. You got to grind every day, just like in the wrestling room or something like that. I mean, you got to grind every day, put in that work to see results. There's just, unfortunately, not yet anyways, there's no magic pills that I know of, or no magic martial arts.
Well, there's definitely magic pills out there.
Okay, you're talking about something else.
And and the things that work. There are if you guys want to know the magic pills that work, I'll tell you right now. But what they don't do is you don't take it and magically have a result the next day. All these magic pills allow you to do is work twice as long or 10 times harder, recover faster so you can work again. So for business and focus, take modafinil. If you want to be able to work 20 hours a day, not sleep and have focus. If you want to, get, big muscles, take steroids, take testosterone. That'll allow you to grow and work out, twice as much, recover, in half the time. But if you take modafinil and you inject testosterone and you sit on the couch and watch Netflix while eating Domino's, you're not going to get any, your business is not going to build itself, and your muscles aren't going to build itself. If anything, you're going to be in the same or worse condition than if you just didn't take it. So the magic pills work, but the only thing they let you do is work twice as hard. You spend twice as many hours at the computer or at the gym to get those results.
Well, I don't know about taking all that. I would take USA supplements if I was going to take anything. Take some Cardio Max. All you fighters out there, if you want the best pre-workout, go ahead and check out that Cardio Max. That's our real hitter, boy. No, but yeah, it's exactly it. You got to put in the work. No matter what you put in your body or this or that, you got to put in your work and everything else, And like I say, when it comes to actual your body and diet and things like that, you have to put in the right fuel. That's everything.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. So actually kind of more about the business side of it is, we took all these lessons from, the work that we put in at the gym in competition that helped us like mentally have, be able to know how to work hard, to set our goals and not be scared. I think it was a really cool transition seeing, there hasn't been that many people that I knew from my Muay Thai or MMA days, or just training jiu-jitsu that have moved over to the entrepreneurial side. But I think some of my really close friends, especially the ones I really respect, one of my best friends, Chris, he was like a really, really strong purple belt. He was traveling, doing jiu-jitsu, competing in tournaments. And I'm pretty sure, I never really asked him, but I'm pretty sure a lot of that stuff has helped him with his business now. And now he's really successful. And then with you as well, and actually, so you had dropped the name of the supplement company. But like, how did all that start?
So actually how that started was I was training at Team Quest Thailand in Chiang Mai, and me and my good buddy, Tim Kreshmer, he's actually a guy, we could tell the story about that I met at 13 Coins. And when I was coaching there, he ended up coming in, and this guy was like, I don't know, like 250 pounds or something like that, just way overweight. And I was thinking, okay, this guy's going to last about 1 week. Well, he ended up paying like 2 months up front, buying a whole bunch of personal lessons from me. 4 months later, he's down to like 190 pounds, one of my best training partners to this day. He lost all this weight, and all he did was copy and do exactly what I did. And he just was fit. He went on to, compete professionally and just became a savage. Well, at any point, fast forward a bit, we're at Team Quest Thailand. We're both living there and we're both training. And we would go to the morning session, do our morning session, and then afterwards we just grab our laptops and head to a coffee shop and start grinding. And I just started working on my business kind of a little bit at a time, one product at a time, and growing it. He was a computer programmer, so he would do that. And we just grind that out, go back home, take a little nap, then head over to evening training or midday training, depending on the day. And we did that for about 1.5 years and then started to have something there.
That's cool. I actually, you know what? I wonder how many people listening to this are thinking right now, like, man, that sounds like the dream, because maybe you guys are a fan of watching UFC or of, Muay Thai or Jiu-Jitsu, whatever it is. And you're like, I would love to live in a place where I can just focus on training every day and then working on my business on the side. I think Thailand is a great place to do it. Chiang Mai is a fantastic place to do it. Phuket is great for the training and fighting side. I guess you can still work on your business, but there's not like the community like there's in Chiang Mai. So what did you think of that life?
Yeah, you can definitely do it everywhere. I lived in Bangkok, Phuket, Chiang Mai. I did it in Phuket as well, but there's a lot more distractions there with the party life and things like that. No, I absolutely loved it. Like I said before, I mean, it's still one of the best times in my life was living in Chiang Mai. I like to use the word magical because it felt magical when I was there. I mean, just the memories that I have and the experiences. It was such a great time in my life. And it's crazy because now I have more, but yet I still have those more stress and things like that. It was just a simpler life.
Yeah, even when I go back now, like I could stay, I remember I had a goal of I really wanted to stay in the like super nice room at the Siri condo in the Neiman Haman area, which is like the kind of ritzy cool area. But the rooms were like $1,000 a month, which compared to other parts of the world is actually still very cheap for like a super nice condo with like floor to ceiling windows, like a jacuzzi tub with a separate shower, like, nice king size bed, like in this beautiful, beautiful apartment. But there it's like, 2-3 times the price of another apartment. And I did stay there. I think that was my goal. So I want to have enough money I can stay there. And first I had the cheaper room, but then I moved into that really nice room. And I'm glad I did it. But then now when I go back, like this time going back, I'm staying in like a $300 a month room, like in, right, like in the area I want to be, but just like a basic place. And I think it's because when I'm there, I'm just like, life is easy. Like I'm happy eating $2 Thai food. I'm happy kind of staying in this kind of more basic place. I'm happy walking around wearing a t-shirt and shorts every day. It's an easy place to live.
Yeah, it's probably one of the easiest places to live, and you can really leverage your life, with that small amount of money. I mean, back even when we first started, we were living on nothing, but even though we didn't have much money, like it was a quality life, we were lacking of nothing. You could still go out and have a nice time a couple times a month or, once a week if you wanted to. You're eating out every day and the food there is good. Like even street food is amazing. Living here in Mexico, I mean, of course I love Mexican food, but I'm still missing some of that good Thai food. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, really just when I was living there, I don't know, just an amazing time in my life.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And that's why I go back to Thailand and to Chiang Mai specifically every year. This year I'm going to be back there. I'm actually going to be back there maybe even by the time this episode airs, but I'll be back from December till February 5th. And I go because it's the perfect time of the year. The weather's really good. November, December, January, the beginning of February in Chiang Mai. It's not hot. It's not cold. It's just like sunny and beautiful. And the Nomad Summit is every January. So this year it's January 17th to the 21st in Chiang Mai. If you want to come meet 400 other digital nomads, people who are working online and traveling and you want to learn, what's currently working in 2020, go to nomadsummit.com, get your ticket, come out and join us and just come hang out. And, whether you want to train at one of the jiu-jitsu gyms or the Muay Thai gyms in Chiang Mai, or if you want to just work on your business, it's a great place to be.
I really want to actually check that out. I still haven't been to any of those things. I'm such an invert that I don't go out to these, I guess, social functions that often, but I really want to. I see like all the networking that you're doing and, all the friends that you make. I mean, you've got friends that are millionaires and, people that are teaching you all these things. That's something that I know in my life I really want to improve on my, just improve on networking and being more social. And you can learn so much, you know what I mean? Like in jiu-jitsu or something, like you're not going to learn if you're just doing it by yourself. And I do it online. I have communities online, but I do want to work on doing that with my own personal life.
Yeah, and it's I agree with everything you said. And the thing about is, like the networking is when you meet people in person and you become friends with people in person, it is so different than the networking that you do online. It is completely different. Like it'd be the same with like MMA or jiu-jitsu. You could hang out online and like talk about things and break things down all day. First off, you have no idea what that person is like in real life. If they even know what they're actually talking about, or they're just regurgitating crap they read. But when you train with someone in person, or you meet someone in person, you hang out with them, like you look them in the eyes and you see their mannerisms, you see what they're actually like. It's completely different, and the connections that you make, will not only just improve your quality of life, like travel wise and with friends, but like business wise, everyone levels up. Because when you're with other successful people who are willing to fly out there, spend money for the conference, and, spend a day there, 7 hours, listen to talks of what's working. A rising tide raises all ships, and everybody comes out on top.
Yeah, I think there's a saying like you will be the average of your top 5 friends, financially, something like that. So it's very smart to, make good friends. And it's not just about money, but it's about everything in life that you're going to learn, I'm lucky that my parents, or my dad rather, stopped me from hanging out with the bad kids when I was young. I remember I was kind of hanging out with a rough crowd, and got me back hanging out with the athletes. And I'm still friends with all those guys today. In fact, the condo that I'm renting now is from one of my best friends, so it's very important. The people that you meet and the group that you keep good friends around you.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm assuming the friend that owns this condo wasn't one of those the bad guys that you met before.
No. That's one of my best buddies, actually, and also one of my business partners now as well. So yeah, definitely keep good friends. That's something that's worked for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and that's actually why. Like I feel very fortunate, and this is why I share all these things. I really try to share my network of friends and people with you guys on the podcast. So if you guys like this show, if you like this format, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you leave a 5-star review on iTunes, but also just tell your friends about it. Because I feel so fortunate that I've met people who have mentored me both business wise, but also just like in my life. Like BK was my jiu-jitsu MMA coach when I was at 13 Coins, and kind of following you in the journey. I've learned so much, from you, from, my buddy Nick, who, was my first, jiu-jitsu coach at Tiger Muay Thai when he was training there, and kind of I've been friends with him for, years now too. Just kind of having like all these people in my life, it's just made me better, like a better person, and then having Anton, mentoring me with dropshipping, and then having all these people. Like, that is why I'm successful today, not just because, I worked hard, that's a huge part of it. Like, nobody's going to do the work for you, but you kind of need to have other successful people who have done it to almost kind of show you the way. And that's why I'm such a big believer in, being friends with other driven, successful people, and just keeping them close.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, steel sharpens steel. Just like, I won't keep going back to fighting because that's all I know. But yeah, I mean, if you're around tough guys, you're going to be tough. If you're around smart guys, you're going to be smart. If you're around wealthy guys, you're going to be wealthy. I mean, it's as simple as that. It's a simple fact. But yeah.
I love it. So, real quick with the business stuff before we wrap this up, because I'm sure a lot of people have questions. Like supplements, that's a hard competitive industry to get into. Like, what are your kind of thoughts and tips for people, who are either already in the supplement business or thinking about getting into it, or just thinking about selling on like big platforms like Amazon, where a lot of your customers come from? Like, what is working now in 2019, 2020?
Well, supplements I do not recommend, because it is one of the most competitive, hardest niches in the world. It's just, if you don't have a giant bankroll, I do not suggest going into it. There's just so many more easy ways to make money, way better products that are smaller niches that would work. You can definitely work so much. You can raise so much faster, I guess I would say. Man, if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't have done supplements. I'm just so far invested now that I have to keep doing it. I mean, I'm like a little goldfish in a huge pond. But what I would suggest people doing, something that definitely helped me advance, was when I started joining groups. Like, I started doing these courses, rather, like online courses. I did basically all of them. And there's a lot of free information on YouTube and places like that where you can get a lot of information, but it's not organized the way you can actually consume it well. So once I started buying these different courses and things like that, it did help me. But do your due diligence, because some of them aren't the best, and some are good. But
what were the courses that you took that were good?
Now, actually they kind of changed, so I'm not going to plug them. They were good at the time, but now they're a bit saturated. There's one that I actually like. It's called Helium 10. So that I still use that all the time, and that course is actually amazing. So I'll plug them.
Okay, so by the old ones, I'm assuming it was things like Amazing Selling Machine or courses like that, where at the time it was like up to date, like legit info. But then it's just kind of an older system now where too many people are doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't that one, but I'm just going to say it was just saturated now. Like back then it was like a core group of people. You were kind of friends with everybody in the group. It was more personal. Whereas now it's just kind of more of a cookie cutter courses and things like that. It just doesn't work as well.
Yeah, but I think that's a good tip to take away. I think a couple of things. One is pretty much every single person who's successful, who has a business, doing over $100,000 a year, they took courses. They spent money. I mean, and
you have to invest in your education. I mean, if you're not educated, you're gonna fail. Simple as that.
But it's funny how many people have never technically failed because they never started, but they're patting themselves on the back because they saved $1,000 by not buying a course that they just spent the last 6 months on YouTube trying to piece things together. But think about, like, here's the thing is most of those people never piece it together. They might get a bunch of random info and they just never get started. Or they say like, oh, nothing works, like whatever, oh yeah, that course now sucks. But they heard about it 2 years ago when it was really good and they could have taken it and then been ahead of everyone else. But they waited 2 years for it to start sucking so they can validate themselves saying, good thing I didn't buy this course.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but the education is everything, I mean, I've learned so much. I probably spend 2 hours of my day at least still like learning stuff, watching YouTube videos. I mean, listening to podcasts, things like that. And the online world is changing so fast that you have to be aware of these updates. You have to be aware of the new techniques, the new tricks, just like jiu-jitsu. I mean, I also probably spend an hour watching that stuff. And it's you just have to do it or you're going to get left behind.
Yeah, that's a very good point. But I also I think like just like jiu-jitsu or anything, you have to have the foundations first or none of the tricks will help you at all. If anything, it'll mess you up because then you're just wasting your time on something that doesn't really matter yet. I think the reason why like these, the latest new tips and tricks work, for you, but also for other people who are successful is because they already have a solid foundation. So if you've taken a course that teaches you the step-by-step basics, you've done the work, you have a product that's already making money, yeah, then you can watch the latest, YouTube videos or the latest podcasts and take little tips and tricks here and there to add it to your arsenal. Or watch the latest, YouTube video on the latest jiu-jitsu move. But if you don't already have the foundation, the basics, you're just spinning wheels and just wasting time.
Yeah, 100%. You have to learn the fundamentals before you can learn the black belt tricks, if you will. So get out there and like I said, you can get that off of like, YouTube or blogs or something like this. But I agree. If I had it to do over again, I would have taken the course first because it saves so much time. It's like a lot of it I had learned before, but there was some stuff that I just completely missed, and these were very important key things, in a business that you should know.
Well, thank you for all this great advice. Thanks for sharing your story. I think this is going to apply to everyone out there. So even if you're not interested in selling on Amazon, if you're not interested in doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or MMA or Muay Thai, take these lessons that you just learned and apply to what you want to learn. What business that you want to start. Find, a course that teaches the fundamentals of the basics of whatever you want to do, whether it's learning how to program or write code or start, a VR, or augmented reality, business out there. Find whatever course generally works now, put in the work, learn the foundations, put in the work, grind. And then once you're successful with that, then go out and learn the latest tips and tricks. So BK, thanks so much. If people want to find you, if they want to buy your products, check out, your journey, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can just check out usasupplements.com. You can hit me up on Instagram. It's bk.mma.bjj. Pretty easy there. And that's pretty much it. It's been cool having you kick it here. We had a good time last night. We binge watched about 3 hours of fighting. just street fighting and UFC fighting and everything. And we did commentary back and forth. It was pretty fun. Me and Johnny would pick which guy we were going for. What was it called? The street beefs. That was pretty fun. Yeah. Now we're gonna get ready to go out to the beach and have a good time, man.
Oh, I love it, man. It's been super fun here. I'm super happy I came to hang out. Such a beautiful place. Los Cabos is beautiful. The weather is amazing. So guys, come check it out here. I don't know if this would be like the first stop as a digital nomad. Definitely not. Just like it's hard to meet other people doing it out here, but check them out. It's a great place to start. So hope to see you guys out in Chiang Mai, Thailand this January. nomadsummit.com for tickets and more info. And BK, I will see you here on the beach today, but also just hopefully again soon.
Sounds good, brother. Let's hit up that beach, boy.
Thank you for listening to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. If you want to hear more, including the bonus How to Choose the Perfect Niche episode, join our mailing list at travellikeabosspodcast.com. See you next week, and remember, if you want to travel like a boss, you need to be your own boss. So start your online business today and start living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of.